Welcome to Aphra's Artifacts, where we do some archaeology of our own and dig into the queer side of Star Wars. I'm your host, Alia Morgaine, and it's so great to have you here. Well, before I get started, I do want to go ahead and say that I started Queen's Hope by E.K. Johnston just a few days ago, and it is about, if you don't already know, it is about Padme around the time when she gets married to Anakin. And so far, it is an incredible book. I'm not even that far into it, but it's just so good. So with that, I should be finished with that book before next week's Aphra's Artifacts. And for that episode, I will talk about Sasha and Yane, do a little update on them. I'm so excited. I love those two characters. So be sure to check that out next week. But today, we're going to do another reality check. As I said last week, I went to a panel at DragonCon that was incredible. It was about Christian nationalism, and it was called Bad Faith, which was a great name for this particular panel. And today I just wanted to share the things that I learned at this panel because it was highly informative. Too bad I don't have the humor of the guy who presented, and the charisma. He was so great. But I do have some great information to share with you. So first off, before we get into Project Blitz, which is the main thrust of all of this information, let's do a little update on some of those Supreme Court rulings that happened recently. So, overturning of Roe versus Wade. Well, there's a Louisiana woman named Nancy Davis who discovered that she was pregnant with a baby that did not have a skull. Like, there is no way this baby would survive. And yet, it was illegal for her to have an abortion in Louisiana. That's insanity to me. That's not just wrong. It's not just unfair. It's completely insane. A baby does not have a skull, and you are not allowed to abort that baby. I don't get it, y'all. And then Kennedy versus Bremerton, that praying coach. So interesting facts about him. He had actually already moved away from the school district. Like, he moved from Washington State to Florida. He wasn't even a full-time teacher. It was a part-time gig. And he was not fired. He was on leave and was allowed to reapply to his position. But he did not reapply to his position. Instead, he let the time go by and then decided to sue to get his job back anyway. That case should have been thrown out from go. There is nothing about that is, I don't understand how that particular case got accepted. Absolutely just insane. Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about a poll, and I apologize, I did not write down where this poll came from when I was taking notes. But there was a poll that looked at a range of different groups. So very leftist, non-Christian, all the way to Christian nationalist. And it turned out that in this poll, the majority of Christian nationalists, to them, their most important rights issue, gun rights. Gun rights. Over religious freedom. Not even religious freedom, but gun rights. Also, this was over freedom of speech and over freedom of press. Another thing that was discovered in the poll is that these Christian nationalists believe that voting should be difficult. Okay, we're a democracy. Voting should not be difficult. Yes, we don't want like people to double vote, but voting should not be hard to do. People should have access to the ability to vote. Then we have another little thing, and then we'll get to Project Blitz. So the Texas In God We Trust posters. So you've probably heard about that. In Texas, there's now a law that says if a In God We Trust poster is donated to the school, it must be displayed. Well, there was a poster in Arabic that was sent to a school. There was a poster with a rainbow sent to a school. And the reaction was that the guy who wrote the law said, oh, well, I didn't mean all that. And he specified that it had to be in English and had to have no adornments. Like, I can't even. Okay, let's talk about Project Blitz. So Project Blitz is a coalition of Christian nationalist organizations, people, and it is sneaky and scary as hell. And just Google these people. Like, oh God, like creepy crawly under my skin kind of scary. They have 3 phases. So their whole point, let me start there. Their whole point is to make legislation that provides for religious freedom. Really Christian in your faceness. So there are 3 phases for these legislations. Is first, acknowledging the religious heritage of the U.S., which is a false narrative. The U.S. is not a Christian nation. It never was. And they are formulating this insane view of the U.S. It's just not true. And one of the guys that's really pushing this is David Barton, who is a fake Christian nationalist historian. Google this guy, crazy stuff. And so along with this, they want to have Christian education in classrooms. I'm talking actual Bible classes in public schools. And then second, religious freedom legislation. And by that, they mean having a federally mandated or state mandated year of the Bible or Christian Heritage Week. Like, y'all, you don't need a Heritage Week, okay? You're good. I promise. And then the third phase is religious liberty protection, aka discriminatory exemptions. So this applies to women's reproductive health care. So, for example, a corporation saying that they will not provide contraceptives to their employees through their health insurance. That's crazy. And as well as queer people, of course, discriminations for adoption, foster care, marriage. Like, there are literal laws, state laws that are trying to be passed to ban queer people from adopting children. Adopting vulnerable children that need a loving family. So, Project Blitz's whole goal is to overwhelm the opposition with constant bills. And these bills, of course, their whole shtick is, if you oppose these bills, you hate Christians and you hate the Bible. Yeah. No. So then there's the Congressional Prayer Caucus, which is bipartisan, but if you Google them, go to their website. Like, it's scary stuff. It's basically just a smoke screen for Project Blitz, where they try to gather these liberals to make them seem more legitimate. So, Project Blitz also has these policy guides, and these offer up potential legislation guidelines to deal with conflict when bringing up this potential legislation. They're basically roadmaps for how to go about introducing them and getting them voted on and enacting them. And they are freely available online. So their newest push is exempting churches from public health mandates. In other words, if another COVID-19 happens, you don't have to wear a mask in the church because they're a religious organization. Like, as a person going into public health, no. Just because you are a member of a religion does not give you the right to infringe on the health of others. So, yeah. Then there are laws that have been going on a lot longer than I realized. I'm talking a lot of this started in 1993. When the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, a federal act, was established. And now there are Religious Freedom Restoration Acts that states have enacted statewide and some locally that are based on this federal act. 23 states have laws that are based around this. They encode anti-queerness in many different ways, but one that when I was looking on the Blitz Watch Coalition website, which I will tell you about in just a minute, when I was looking on that website, I saw a law that was trying to be passed. I forget what state it was in. I don't want to get it wrong, but the law was to prevent queer people from adopting kids. Like saying, if you were gay, you were not legally allowed to adopt children. And that is a really good example of a religious freedom act, which doesn't make any sense to me. It's just bad stuff. Then there are denial of care laws. So normally doctors must provide care to any and everyone, right? So now there are certain hospitals that have policies that allow discrimination. In other words, they can say, no, I can't take care of you even though you have a gunshot wound. Like, this is absolute craziness. No, I can't treat you for that gunshot wound because you are a trans female. This stuff is scary, y'all. And all of this, there's, the current laws, which I've talked about some, where there are, in Alabama, there's a law that says trans youth are not allowed to be prescribed hormones or puberty blockers. And that is a law that directly infringes on parental rights. Parents have a right to provide the best health care for their children. The parents know their kids way better than these legislators. So blatantly going against parental rights. And of course there's the child's rights too. Instead, it's just the government has the right. So, what can we do about this? What can we do? Blitzwatch Coalition, blitzwatch.org. Tons of information about Project Blitz on that website. You should definitely go check it out. There's also a little box where you can sign up for their newsletter. I just signed up before I recorded this. So I have no idea how often they send out their newsletter or if it's even still a thing. I don't really know. But I am hoping that I will get more information and an update soon. So Blitz Watch Coalition, and yeah, go check them out. They give so much information about just how scary this stuff is. Well, on an ending note, don't forget, next week is Sashay and Yane update. So be sure to check that out. And comment down below on what you think about Project Blitz. What you think about all this Christian nationalism stuff. I think it's terrifying. So remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter at AliaMorgain, and peruse my blog at thestarsreview.blogspot.com. Oh, check out my shirt, guys. Aphra's Artifacts. Got it from TeePublic. I made it, but if you want one, they're there. And may the force be with you.